It's Pooh Shiesty. I'm here with Double XL, Big Brother.
Picture this, gang. You stuck in a federal cell. Can't go nowhere, can't drive nothing, can't even step outside when you feel like it. But you got so much money sitting around that you decide to buy 2 Ferraris just because you're bored. That's the kind of story people been attaching to Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty. And whether every detail is hype or not, the bigger point is still wild.
A man on just one station surveillance video offering a new view of the moment gunshots rang out in a South Florida neighborhood.
This dude's money story didn't stop just because the door's locked. Now here's what makes it crazier. Most rappers get locked up and everything dries up fast. Shows gone, deals shaky, people move on. But with Shiesty, the talk is he stayed paid while doing time. Like the money faucet never shut off. Streaming still hitting, merch still moving, and the people around him allegedly kept the business running like a machine. That's the part that makes folks look twice. Before you can understand how somebody could stay rich while locked up, you gotta understand where he came from. Pooh Shiesty, real name Lontrell Williams Jr., came out of South Memphis, and anybody who knows Memphis knows it can get gritty quick. That environment teaches you early. You either move smart or you get left behind. And that mindset shows up in everything he did later. His pops, known as Mob Boss, wasn't just some random parent in the background either. The story people tell is that his father was connected to both the streets and music, running a label called Mob Ties Records. So Shiesty grew up seeing how money moves from different angles. Studio energy on one side, harsh reality on the other side. And when you grow up around that, you learn fast that one income stream ain't enough. As he got older, Shiesty started building buzz the old school way. Dropping music, running the streets with it, getting his name ringing locally before the industry even fully clocked him. Tracks like Hell Night with Big 30 had people in Memphis paying attention. Views climbing, comments going crazy, and that new face of the city talk started bubbling up. Then the phone call that changed everything. Gucci Mane. That cosign is like a golden ticket in trap music, and Shiesty's sound fit that lane perfectly. The story goes Gucci reached out through Instagram like it was casual, but it wasn't casual at all. That was the door opening. Not long after, Shiesty signed to 1017. And even when deal numbers aren't public, everybody knows how these situations usually work. A hot artist with momentum typically gets a real bag up front, plus advances, plus budget support, plus infrastructure. That kind of setup can flip a young artist into real money fast, especially when the label backing you knows how to market a street record nationwide. And once you get that Gucci cosign, it's not just money, it's access, better producers, bigger features, stronger distribution, faster visibility. Suddenly you go from local buzz to national conversation, and the money starts coming from more than one direction. Now here's where Shiesty's money story really starts looking ridiculous. Because signing to 1017 wasn't the end, it was the launch pad. Once Gucci put that stamp on him, the industry started treating him like a certified pick, not just a local Memphis name. And when the industry believes in you, every move you make suddenly pays more. Then came the record that turned everything up to the ceiling. Back in Blood with Lil Durk. That song wasn't just a hit, it became a moment, a soundtrack. Something you couldn't escape on playlists in clubs and cars all over social media. And the wild part is how fast it allegedly came together. The story people tell is Shiesty laid his verse down in Atlanta, ran it to Durk, and Durk knocked his verse out in minutes. Quick work. Then boom, history. That record climbed high on the Billboard charts and went crazy on streaming. And this is where people misunderstand rap money. They think the big bag is only shows and jewelry. Nah, the real silent killer is streams. Because streams don't care if you're awake, asleep, free, or locked up. Streams pay while you breathe. Here's the simple version. When people play your song on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and other platforms, that generates royalties. It's not one giant payment at once. It's a steady drip that adds up when the numbers get huge. And Back in Blood pulled monster numbers across platforms. Hundreds of millions of plays, type numbers. Even if the payout per million streams isn't crazy by itself, once you hit hundreds of millions, you're talking serious money. And that money doesn't expire. That's the scary part. If the song stays in rotation, It keeps paying. People replay it years later, still pays. It lands on workout playlists, party playlists, best of lists, still pays. That's why artists chase hits so hard. A hit is basically a money printer that doesn't need you to clock in. But it didn't stop at streaming. Once Back in Blood hit, Shiesty's show price went up like a rocket. Before that, you might be doing smaller bookings for decent money. After that, promoters start paying big numbers because they want the song live. They want the hype. They want the crowd reaction. And once your booking fee hits 6 figures, it gets spooky fast. Think about it. Even a couple shows a week at high rates can turn into real monthly money. And when you're hot, it's not just weekends. It's constant motion. Cities back to back. Colleges, clubs, festivals, everything. That's why his run felt so loud in that period. Then there's features. When you prove you can make a hit, everybody wants your voice on their track. And nobody's doing that for free when the demand is high. A verse becomes a product. A quick 16 can turn into a big deposit. Multiply that by multiple features, and now the money's coming from another direction too. So by the time Shiesty dropped his debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, he wasn't just a new artist anymore. He was a star with momentum, charting high, moving units, driving streams, and building an audience that was spending money, not just listening. Now here's where things take a sharp turn, because all that fast money and momentum didn't come without pressure. While Pooh Shiesty was living that superstar life, the same streets that helped build his image were quietly tightening around him. And this is the part of the story where everything changes. Fast. At the peak of his run, Shiesty wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was a walking headline. Jewelry dripping, luxury cars everywhere, cash on hand, cameras always watching. That lifestyle looks glamorous, but it also attracts attention you don't want. Law enforcement, jealous people, and situations that spiral quick. The first major incident that cracked everything open happened in Miami. According to reports, Shiesty and his crew were involved in a situation that turned violent during what was supposed to be a simple transaction. Surveillance footage showed guns being pulled, shots fired, and chaos breaking out. The scary part? A bag with tens of thousands in cash was left behind. That bag wasn't just money, it was evidence. And once investigators connected serial numbers from that cash to photos posted online, the case went from street talk to federal territory. That's when things got real serious. When federal charges enter the picture, there's no playing around. And that wasn't the only problem. Around the same time, another situation unfolded at a Miami strip club that made things even worse. Reports say a large amount of cash fell from Shiesty's waistline, causing a scramble. Tempers flared, security got involved, and things escalated. Allegedly, a weapon was discharged during the chaos. Once that happened, judges weren't looking at him like a rapper anymore. They were looking at patterns, multiple incidents, multiple weapons, multiple locations. And that's exactly how prosecutors build their case. From there, everything snowballed. The feds stacked charges, including firearm offenses tied to violent activity. That's the kind of charge that carries serious time. We're talking numbers that would end most careers before they even had time to peak. At one point, Shiesty was staring at a possible sentence that could have taken the rest of his youth. That's when his team made a crucial decision. They didn't gamble. They hired one of the most respected defense attorneys in the game. This wasn't cheap. Top-tier legal defense costs real money. Retainers alone can wipe out savings for most people. But Shiesty had the funds to fight smart, not desperate. That move alone showed he wasn't broke, reckless, or unprepared. After months of legal back and forth, the writing was on the wall. Going to trial meant risking everything. So instead of rolling the dice, Shiesty took a deal. It wasn't freedom, but it was survival. In 2022, he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to just over 5 years. That sentence, while heavy, was far lighter than what could have happened. And when that gavel dropped, the industry assumed his money would dry up immediately. That's where everyone got it wrong. Most artists lose everything when they get locked up. No shows, no appearances, no new music, bills piling up, friends disappearing. But Shiesty walked into prison already sitting on serious wealth, and more importantly, systems that didn't stop just because he did. Streaming checks didn't pause. Royalties didn't freeze. Old songs didn't disappear from playlists. Every play still counted. Every spin still paid. And here's the wild part. His music actually gained more attention while he was gone. Fans replayed his catalog. New listeners discovered his older work. That steady digital income kept flowing straight into accounts he couldn't even access directly. So while people thought his story ended at sentencing, that was really just the transition. The spotlight dimmed, but the money kept moving. Quietly, consistently. And that's where this story separates from every other rapper got locked up headline. Because this wasn't about surviving prison broke. This was about winning while confined. Now this is where Pooh Shiesty's story separates him from almost everybody else who ever went down. Because instead of letting prison crush his momentum, he turned that time into a silent money play. While most people behind bars are counting commissary dollars, Shiesty's money was still moving on the outside like he never left. The biggest reason? Streaming never stops. That's the cheat code. When you own your catalog and people still play your music, the checks keep coming no matter where you are. Every spin of Back in Blood, every replay of Monday to Sunday, every feature he ever touched was still paying him daily. That money didn't care about fences, uniforms, or cell doors. And here's what made it crazier. His music actually got more valuable once he was locked up. Fans went back through his catalog, playlists started pushing his older tracks, and his name stayed buzzing online. When artists disappear completely, people forget. Shiesty didn't disappear. His presence stayed alive through sound. But streaming wasn't the only thing holding him down. His merch kept selling too. Hoodies, tees, masks, all that Shiesty season gear. Fans wanted something physical to represent support. And when an artist is locked up, merch becomes symbolic. It's not just clothes, it's loyalty. Merch margins are wild too. It doesn't take much to produce, but it sells high. When thousands of fans cop over months and years, that adds up fast. That's steady money without needing to record a single new verse. Now here's where family comes into play. This wasn't some sloppy setup. His pops already knew how the game worked. Instead of letting cash sit and shrink, that money got moved into real investments. Real estate, properties that generate monthly income and grow in value over time. That's smart money. Rental properties don't care about headlines. They pay every month. And while Shiesty was locked up, those properties were stacking rent and building equity. That's wealth growing quietly while the internet thought his run was over. On top of that, part of the money was reportedly placed into long-term investments. Stocks, funds, business interests. Not flashy, not loud, just patient. That's how people really stay rich. And here's the part people overlook. Prison doesn't mean isolation from strategy. Shiesty stayed mentally locked in. He wasn't wasting time chasing drama or falling into nonsense. He stayed disciplined. That mindset alone saves money and protects future moves. He even kept making music from inside. Jail phone recordings, rough quality but real emotion. Those tracks kept his name alive and gave fans something new to listen to. And guess what? Those streams paid too. Not massive hit numbers, but enough to remind people he was still active, still hungry, still relevant. That's branding. That's awareness. Now let's talk about that Ferrari move, because that wasn't just random. Buying luxury cars while locked up wasn't about driving. It was about messaging. It told the world, I'm still winning. That move shocked people because it flipped expectations. Instead of coming out broke and forgotten, he showed financial control and confidence. Whether people loved it or hated it, they talked about it. And in entertainment, attention equals value. By the time his release date got closer, Shiesty wasn't starting from scratch. He had income, assets, relevance, and leverage. That's rare. That's power. So while most stories about prison are about loss, this one was about maintenance and growth, not reckless spending, not survival mode, just quiet wealth moving behind the scenes. Now here's where the story really locks in and separates Pooh Shiesty from the average got rich then lost it rapper. Because once he finally walked out of federal prison, it became clear this wasn't just about surviving incarceration. He came home positioned to dominate again. Most artists come home scrambling. No momentum, no money, no plan. But Shiesty, he stepped out already loaded, already focused, and already respected. Within days of his release in October 2025, the visuals told the whole story. New jewelry, new cars, same confidence. That wasn't reckless spending, that was confirmation. The first major flex was the $100,000 chain he copped almost immediately. That wasn't about vanity. That was a signal to the industry that prison didn't drain his pockets. In hip-hop, perception matters. And Shiesty made sure the perception was clear. He never fell off. Then came the fleet. The Ferraris he bought while locked up were finally being driven. A Maybach, a McLaren with custom details, even a Cybertruck. This wasn't random. This was a curated image showing growth, relevance, and wealth. Fans noticed. Blogs picked it up. The comeback buzz started building instantly. But the biggest change wasn't the money. It was the mindset. In interviews, especially on $1 million worth of game, Shiesty sounded different. Calmer, sharper, more intentional. Prison didn't just slow him down. It refined him. He talked openly about cutting off distractions, avoiding pointless internet beef, and focusing strictly on quality. That's maturity. That's someone who understands how close he came to losing everything. And instead of repeating mistakes, he adjusted. That mental shift is priceless because talent alone doesn't keep careers alive. Discipline does. Shiesty learned how to move quieter, smarter, and more selective. He said if a verse isn't right, he'll say it straight up. No more forcing collaborations just for numbers. Now let's talk business. Because financially, his earning potential after release is even higher than before. Comeback narratives sell. Labels love them. Fans support them. Promoters pay more for them. A new album drop alone could generate millions in streaming revenue. First week numbers north of 100,000 units are realistic. Add touring back into the mix, and it gets scary. A comeback tour with packed venues could easily bring in tens of millions. Feature prices go up too. Artists want that fresh home energy, that authenticity, that story. Pooh Shiesty can now command top-tier feature fees because he's not just rapping. He's representing survival and resilience. Merch, that's another explosion waiting to happen. Fans love comeback moments. Limited drops, tour merch, exclusive designs, all high-margin plays. With the brand recognition he already has, that's easy money. And remember, he doesn't need to rush. That's the key. Because of the wealth he built during prison, Shiesty can move at his own pace. He doesn't need to flood the market with weak music just to pay bills. He can wait, perfect his sound, and drop when the moment feels right. That's real power in this industry. But maybe the most important part of this story isn't the money at all. It's the lesson. Shiesty's run proves that building wealth before trouble hits is the real flex. If he went in broke, prison would have destroyed him financially. Instead, his preparation protected him. He had family he trusted, a team that knew business, income streams that didn't depend on him being physically present. That's the blueprint. Pooh Shiesty didn't just beat the odds, he studied them. He didn't let prison define him. He used it as a pause, not an ending. Now let's talk about the part of this story that really separates hype from real strategy, because this is where most rappers would have fumbled everything. Prison didn't just test Pooh Shiesty's freedom, it tested whether his money was actually built to last. And the answer? Absolutely yes. See, a lot of artists make money fast, but they don't set up systems. Once the shows stop and the cameras turn off, the income dries up. But Shiesty wasn't playing that short-term game. By the time he got locked up, the machine was already running without him needing to touch it. Streaming never stopped. That's the cheat code most people overlook. Every single day, fans kept pressing play on Back in Blood, Monday to Sunday, and his features. And every single play meant money landing in his accounts. No effort required. While other inmates were counting commissary dollars, Shiesty was counting royalties. That's a wild contrast. Over 3 years, that steady streaming added up to millions. Not guesses, real numbers, passive income at its finest. Then you got the merchandise. Fans didn't stop buying just because he was locked up. If anything, support got stronger. Hoodies, tees, masks, everything tied to his brand kept moving. Merch margins are crazy. Spend a little, sell for a lot. That alone brought in hundreds of thousands while he sat down. But the real power move? Real estate. This is where the long money comes in. While Shiesty was locked up, his pops wasn't letting cash sit idle. Properties were being bought, rented, and appreciated. Rental income hit every month. Not flashy, not viral, but consistent. And consistency beats clout every time. On top of that, property values climbed. Equity went up. That's wealth growing while you sleep or while you locked behind bars. Add in stock investments, safe plays, long-term moves, not gambling, planning, index funds, stable assets, patience. That's how money multiplies without noise. Over 3 years, those investments quietly stacked more value. And let's not forget business ownership, stakes in labels, side ventures. When you own pieces instead of just getting paid once, you win long-term. Even modest success elsewhere added more layers to his income. This is why the Ferrari story hit so hard. Buying 2 Ferraris from prison wasn't just a flex, it was proof. Proof that expenses didn't scare him. Proof that money wasn't tight. Proof that his foundation was solid enough to handle wild purchases without stress. Most people see that and think reckless. Nah, that was confidence. That was someone knowing their accounts weren't going dry tomorrow. And mentally, prison sharpened him. No more distractions, no more reckless energy. He came home with tunnel vision, focused on longevity, not moments. That's the difference between a rapper who flashes and a rapper who lasts. He listened to OGs, learned patience, learned silence, learned how to move without announcing every step. That's grown man energy. And now that he's home, the industry feels it. Labels watching, promoters lining up, fans waiting. Shiesty isn't chasing relevance. Relevance is waiting on him. That's the power of preparation. This story isn't just about prison money. It's about systems, trust, and thinking ahead. He didn't wait for trouble to start planning. He planned first, and that saved him. That's the lesson most people miss. You don't build during the storm, you build before it hits. And Pooh Shiesty proved that if your foundation is strong enough, even federal prison can't slow the money down. Now let's close this out the right way, because this final part is what turns Pooh Shiesty's story from just a wild flex into a real blueprint. This isn't only about Ferraris, prison bids, or millions stacked. It's about why his story hit different and why people still talk about it like legend status. When most rappers get locked up, the narrative is already written. Career over, money gone, momentum dead. But Shiesty flipped that script completely. Not because he was lucky, but because he was prepared. And that's the key word here. Preparation. Before prison ever became real, he already had multiple income streams flowing. Music royalties, merch, features, investments, family handling business. That's why the system didn't collapse when he sat down. A lot of artists don't realize this until it's too late. They think being hot forever is guaranteed. It's not. Fame is temporary. Streams fluctuate. Trends change. But ownership, investments, systems, those last. And Shiesty had all that in place early. That's rare, especially for someone that young. The real flex wasn't buying Ferraris from prison. The real flex was not needing to sell anything to survive. Think about that. No panic selling jewelry. No begging labels for advances. No desperate features. That's power. And when he came home early in October 2025, the message was clear. Prison didn't humble him financially. It elevated him mentally. He didn't come back reckless. He came back calculated. He understood that the second chance wasn't just about music. It was about legacy. That's why his energy changed. Less talking, more planning, less chaos. More control. That's growth. And the industry noticed immediately. Comeback narratives sell. Fans love redemption. Promoters love packed venues. Labels love artists who don't need advances. Shiesty walked back into the game with leverage most rappers never have. Now here's where the lesson really locks in for everybody watching. If Shiesty had gone into prison broke, none of this would have been possible. He would have been stressing commissary, lawyers, family bills, and survival. That pressure breaks people. Instead, his money worked while he didn't. His catalog appreciated. His real estate grew. His brand stayed alive. That's the difference between income and wealth. Income stops when you stop working. Wealth keeps working no matter what. That's why his story resonates beyond hip-hop. This applies to anybody. Athletes, entrepreneurs, street dudes, Regular people, build before you need it, stack before the storm. Trust people who know business, not just loyalty. And that's another underrated part of this story. Family trust. Shiesty didn't hand his money to strangers. He had people who cared about his future, not just his fame. That saved him. Now let's be real. He made mistakes, serious ones. Prison isn't glamorous. But what separates him is that he didn't let mistakes define the rest of his life. He adjusted, he learned, he evolved. And now he's back with money, experience, and perspective. That combination is dangerous, in a good way. Going forward, his ceiling is even higher. New music, bigger tours, smarter deals, more ownership. He's not chasing clout anymore. He's building long-term dominance. That's why people respect this run, not because of the money alone, but because of how it was protected. So did Pooh Shiesty really make $10 million while locked up? When you break it down, yeah, that number makes sense. And honestly, it might be conservative. Because the real value isn't just cash, it's assets, brand power, and positioning. This wasn't luck. This was planning. This was structure. This was hustle with intelligence. And that's why this story isn't over. It's just entering the next chapter.